Chris Franklin. Rutskarn von Ruttleskarns. I don't know what Rutskarn's fictional last name is. How do you guys feel about roguelikes?
Well, it's interesting you ask that, because what I think is that roguelikes are games that look like this. Lately, it's kind of just the term has been blended and chopped and screwed to the point where basically any kind of extremely high development cost indie title with like extremely slick, sexy sprites and glossy effects qualifies. No, this is the truest definition of the genre. Static sprites mapped against a tile set, like it's one step above the ASCII. That would be perhaps the truest heritage.
Oh, you don't even know. I have a surprise in store for you later.
Does this game have an ASCII mode?
It absolutely does have an ASCII mode.
That's fantastic.
So this is Tales of Maj'Eyal. I've been playing this game off and on for a number of years. This is a straight-up, true, actual roguelike, and is actually very old. We'll get into kind of the history, too, in a minute. I'm just going to hit new game here. And we're going to immediately be confronted by a massive character screen, so...
I should say that, my actual sincere answer to the question is, I think that they're very cool conceptually, and there's a lot of overlap between roguelikes and the type of OSR, high-intensity challenge, objective, difficulty, tabletop role-playing games I enjoy. But in practice, I cannot stand actually playing through a roguelike enough that I would have a chance of ever beating one. I have a lot of respect for people who can.
It's interesting that you mention that, because this game is, it has a number of, quality of life features that you would not expect from a very old roguelike like this game. This game came out first in 1998, so based on roguelikes going back to Angband. This thing is got DNA that's over 20 years old. And there are different difficulty modes here. Well, first there's difficulty you can set, but there's also different kinds of ways the permadeath works. So you can you can just do roguelike, where you die and that's it, you start over. The default mode is adventure mode, where if you die, you use up a life. You have a finite number of lives, and then once you run out of lives entirely, you're dead for good. There are ways to increase the number of lives that you get. You get a few as you level up. And so the game is a little bit more forgiving. You can also just switch it to straight up, I don't want to play with permadeath mode, let me play the game, which is probably not the way the game is meant to be played. But, if you want to do that, you can. There's also a number of different campaigns available. We're just going to do this one. So there's a lot... the other interesting thing is there's a lot of unlockable shit in this game, much of which I have not unlocked.
I feel like that's actually fairly atypical for a roguelike.
Yeah, I don't know. So the idea is you play the game and you complete certain achievement kind of quest objectives, and you will get access to these different classes and races, including being an undead ghoul, which is an interesting choice to play, given that townspeople will be hostile to you in that case. And then you can play these on your next run. So, yeah, this, and this game has all kinds of weird fucking shit. There's fucking time mages with actual time travel, because the game is capable of supporting that.
Yeah, that's the thing about roguelikes. They tend to be, since there's it's the actual engine itself is so lightweight, you can get away with all kinds of weird shit. I mean, that's the only reason Dwarf Fortress exists.
And this game is actually open source, I believe, and there is a tool set available.
Yeah, I wanted to ask, do you know if this game, you mentioned it in development since 1998, is it the sort of thing where there's one true path of development, where it's like been a consistent team or person working on it, or sort of think of this like forked from some project like a few different times, and now this is like the version that's on Steam or whatever.
Kind of the latter, although like it is largely the construction of one dude over the course of like 25 years. So I'm just gonna kind of pick here quickly. We're gonna be an arcane blade because I like spell swords. Do you want to give me a name?
Blorbo.
Would somebody who is not Chris like to give me a name?
What class or race are we going with?
We are a random normal human.
Okay.
Carl.
Oh yes, the lady named Carl.
Well, Carl Lady.
Carla. Just go with Carla.
No, Carl Lady. Car Lady, exactly. Car Lady.
Yeah, exactly. Car lady. All right, let's
She's real into automobiles.
let's go for it.
Her goal is to find the world's first automobile, which she's heard is at the end of this dungeon.
So immediately you get to pick a number of starting stats and stuff. I'm going to kind of breeze through this for sanity's sake, but we're playing an Arcane Blade, which is a melee spellcaster.
I think that it's impossible that there are this many names for they're a spellcaster, but they also use swords specifically. Because I can't name how many fucking variants of that I've heard in my role-playing career. I'm a Hexblade, Mage Knight, Knight Mage, Mage Blade, Wizard Blade, Sword Mage, Mage Sword.
Okay. So the way our spellcasting works, we have welcome, Car Lady. We are in the northernmost region of the Allied Kingdoms, a peaceful land that both humans and halflings call home. You hail from the small town of Dirth. We're going to a land called the Dirth Fields to search for Trollmire, where we might get treasure and shit. So pretty generic backstory. And here we are. So the way this class works is you have this ability, this sustained thing called Arcane Combat. When you select it, you select what spell you want, and as you attack, this spell has a random chance of just firing without triggering a cooldown. You can also use the spell directly, which is probably how we'll be playing initially here, because the chance of actually triggering that is not incredibly high. So yeah, this is a roguelike, simultaneous turns, tile-based. You can use the arrow keys. You can also use the mouse.
Right. So for those of you who have never played one, how these generally work is that when you take an action, time moves forward. So like if you move, everybody moves simultaneously.
Yeah.
I do like the pseudo-teleportation of using the mouse to move around the screen.
Yeah, it speeds up. You can adjust the speed of that. So I could make that
very much a hallmark of the genre.
Incredibly slow. If I did, if we set it at 60, it's gonna be actually okay. Sometimes it just jumps you ahead because there's nothing around, but now the movement is just fucking glacial.
It's real time. This is how long it takes him to walk 5 feet.
Yeah, this is Diablo now. Let's see.
Now your little charge move actually had impact because we're so used to seeing you slowly move around.
Oh, we can also set it to ASCII.
Does that turn off the music
if
too?
You wanna... no, I think the music maybe it... I don't know. Let's see. No, the music stays on.
Yeah.
Also, this is like technically not actually a text mode because like it's tiles, but it's tiles that look like ASCII.
This almost feels like a joke, to be honest. So for those of you who are like, what the fuck? This is basically what the graphical interface for like dungeon crawl video games looked like in the earliest days of those things existing. this is very easy to program and like very easy to run. So
yeah. This is kind of hellish looking though, so I'm going to switch it back to the.
Oh, absolutely not. It's unfathomable.
Has anybody made an HD version of a roguelike that still takes the aesthetic literally? Like, you will round a corner and there's a bunch of the letter C's that mean orc, and you have to kill a bunch of giant letter C's.
It's like Doom, but like the Doom guy is an @ symbol, and
Chris, this feels like Game Jam material. You are wasting perfectly good Game Jam entry that then gets a like $3 release on Steam and makes $25 total somehow.
It is my destiny.
The only roguelike I really have much experience with is Stone Soup Dungeon Crawl, which is the one that my partner is really into. And I've played a few different classes and done a few different times, and I feel like I've got a very good idea of what the experience is. And I don't know if I'll ever have enough personal strength of character to beat one.
The only
I
one
will point out I've never actually beaten this game, so I played it a bunch, but I've never actually finished it.
I think the only roguelike I've ever really fallen to, I've played a bunch of them, but I've played them like about as much as we're probably going to get into this one, which is dick around for the first 10 levels and go, I get it. But I think the only one I've ever really given an earnest effort to really get into is Jupiter Hell, which is a fairly recent release that is basically, it was originally the Doom roguelike, and then IP got involved, Bethesda lawyers, so they had to just rebrand it to generic, you're on a space station and demons got out. It's pretty cool.
It must be said, you haven't lost much in translation there.
Yeah, like...
You didn't really miss out on a rich intellectual property of, like, the original Doom.
But you're no longer on Mars, you're on a space station orbiting Jupiter and its moons. It's a completely different video game.
Oh... That's 9 tiles of rattlesnakes. They all have very low HP, though, so...
9 Tiles of Rattlesnakes is definitely the name of my next ska band.
Are we gonna die?
No.
There is another roguelike I've tried, and I'm trying to look up the name of it because I don't even remember the name of it well enough to search for it in any of my massive game libraries.
So we have this because I own the game as like a premium thing where you buy the game for like $5. I have a transmogrifier chest that automatically stores all the items I pick up in every area. Ooh, shielding rune is good. What's the... About the rest of this.
Aha! The roguelike is called Unreal World, which is probably the worst possible name for it, because I can't imagine that would give you any idea of what it was if you didn't know anything else about it.
I guess that is technically a roguelike. It's not really the same, like you're not dungeon crawling. It's not a
fantasy dungeon crawler, no. It's an incredibly oppressively realistic simulation of Iron Age Scandinavia. So, like, you just create a hunter-gatherer and then, like, get stabbed in the leg by a raider, and then, like, you bleed to death limping along through the forest, like, an endless forest.
So we got a random encounter here where this guy needs to be escorted to a portal so he can leave. And if we succeed at that, he'll probably give us something cool.
I'm watching videos of Unreal World, and like, is that a sound indicator on your little guy? because that's kind of neat.
In Unreal World, I don't remember. Listen. I've created like 8 characters, and I think the happiest ending I got was starving to death.
Yeah, I've looked at Unreal World, but I'm always like, oh man, the interface in that game looks so garbage that I don't think I'd ever have the patience to play it.
If you ever want to learn just an absolutely ludicrous amount of details about what it would be like to survive in Iron Age Finland, try Unreal World. It's like $10.
Notably, this game does not have potions, which is unusual for roguelikes that are like this. Instead, you have these runes that act like potions, but they have cooldowns instead of like, you having a finite number of health potions that you then expend over time.
The kind of the genre trope for potions in roguelikes is that you find them, but what they are is unclear at first. It'll just be like a collection of adjectives describing a liquid, like funky purple smelly broth, and you can either sometimes I think that there's like a way to identify them, but often you'll just like drink it, and then you'll learn that, oh, this was a potion of healing, and then the other like funky purple smelly broths I find will also be potions of healing.
Yeah. I just had a thought about how Baldur's Gate does that, where there's fucking cursed potions that have the description of a normal like healing potion or strength potion or whatever, but then they'll say like, oh, it's weirdly cloudy or something. That's weird. And then if you drink it, you get a curse.
I always hate that mechanic because like I feel like healing is such a core thing to a game that is so rooted around combat that making the health system itself sort of an unknown gamble means that it's rogue, so whatever, but it does mean you're gonna, like, the odds that the first potion you see are a health potion are extremely low, because there's like 15 different things that a potion could theoretically be, and I don't know, I always thought it was more fun if, like, you had 15 fun things that could be like, you accidentally drank a potion of inflaming, and now you're on fire, and then have that separate from health systems, but I get why Rogue does it the way it does, because the whole game is designed to be mean.
There is nothing quite like getting in a situation where your back is against the wall and there's monsters absolutely everywhere, and you've done the math and you've calculated like your next 3 attacks you're probably not going to survive like long enough to do enough damage to get out of the situation. So you just kind of like click on that one potion, that one scroll you've had lying around, and hope for the best. I actually had that happen in Dungeons & Dragons campaign once.
And sometimes it's exactly what you need. Like, you drink the potion and it gives you fire breath or whatever, and suddenly everything around you is screwed and you're a god, and like, that's an amazing feeling. It's just, the odds are not in your favor.
In a campaign I ran back in college, which, I'm just gonna hurt myself by calculating, yep, 13 years ago. Holy shit. One of the players got a vial from like a sort of mad alchemist's lab really early in the campaign, and just noted that it smelled really terrible. And as he went around the campaign, rats would follow him and like seemed to be attracted to the vial, which made him too paranoid to actually try drinking it, which meant that he just had it in his pocket for like a dozen more sessions until the finale. Whereupon he fucked up. He got like knocked on the head and dragged into a room by like a couple of the villains. They're about to execute him, so he has nothing, like his weapons are confiscated, he has nothing else to do, he just says fuck it and he drinks the potion. It was a potion of synthetic were-rat saliva, which meant that he transformed into a were-rat.
That seems like a dubiously useful thing in that situation.
You'd think, but, I mean, were-rats have natural weapons, and his main problem was that he was unarmed, so actually it got him out of that situation.
Yeah, I think the rationale here for doing these as like things with cooldowns rather than consumables is to make it so that you're not in that situation where, oh, I really might need this potion for something important later, and then you just never use your potions.
Right. I enjoy how the lightning bolt sound effects
too.
Sounds vaguely like a gunshot.
Yeah. So, oh, this is fun.
Yeah, you got
here.
this. This is bad. This is a bad situation to be in. This was a mistake. Something like sort of especially bad in roguelikes about being in a situation where like you know that you're probably not going to survive it because time doesn't move on its own, so you kind of need to step into it, you know?
You just kind of sit there going, oh fuck, I just lost. Looking at your toolbar and going, nope, there's no way any of this. Oh, that's the boss. Prax the Mighty.
Yeah, I will say, I actually kind of do want to get back into Stone Soup watching this. One thing about Stone Soup is that, like, it's in development continuously, and it's not only adding things, they also take stuff out.
Is this only usable?
I think like 10 years ago, so they just like removed a bunch of races and classes that they're like, we decided we didn't like these.
Ooh, we just got a whole bunch of unique shit. There's actually a bonus boss here that will definitely not kill us, so we should definitely go and check that out.